The D-Files returns with new revelations. Alan was up at 3 a.m. working on this story. It is on. Is it on the front page of Film Threat right now?
It is on the front page of Film Threat.
It's on the front page of Film Threat. Oh, you can subscribe to our newsletter. Here,
Yeah.
let me. But here we are. This is the D-Files, the untitled 2024 Disney animated feature. You got new information about this, Alan. Can you tell us about it?
Yes. So just to catch everyone up, Jennifer Lee is gone. She is stepped down as the chief creative officer at the Walt Disney Animation. She has resigned herself to write and direct Frozen's 3 and 4. And I set that up because basically I want to build upon the devastation she has created since her time there. When she got on board, she was essentially a DEI hire. She was a woman who was hired to take the place of John Lasseter because someone had requested that. She had then gone in and decided to clean house by basically her goal was to bring 50-50 equity, male-female animators. Problem is that there weren't enough female animators to bring it to 50-50. So she went to Tumblr to recruit people who were not experienced. And at the same time, she made life so miserable for the old white guys that they left. And here, I'll show you an example of that. If you want to scroll down to just the variety image, that's just down a bit. So when Jennifer Lee came on, this news item came out in 2019. Walt Disney Animation names directors for 4 new film projects. These animators these directors. 2 of them come from within the company, 2 of them come without. On the left there is Carlos Lopez Estrada, who directed Raya and the Last Dragon, and they promised him a movie. Then we have Josie Trinidad here, who is head of story for Zootopia. We have Susie Younessi, who's an Iranian-American filmmaker. She's made films, and they brought her on to tell a story. And then finally, there's Mark Smith, who's been working at Disney for a while, the only white guy in this. Mm-hmm. And the reason I bring this up is because what happened within the Walt Disney Company is that when you work for this company, when you've worked for this company for decades and dedicate yourself to excellence and quality, the idea is that you hope that one day you're going to get the opportunity. You're going to be able to reach the brass ring and make your own Disney feature. And so when Jennifer Lee came in, she took the brass ring away and gave it to newcomers, to people who know nothing about animation. And what that did was, it gave this realization to all the animators, the veteran animators, that their services are not really required, and that this dream you may have had of heading a Disney feature film is gone. And what happened what that did was it began the slow exodus of the old white guys, the veteran animators, and they began going to the competition, particularly Skydance, which is a whole different story. So what happened here with Disney, if you want to scroll down further, a year ago, before Wish came out, Disney had published, go to the chart right there. Disney had published the upcoming films for 2024. So we're talking about October, November of last year. First Omen, Kingdom of Planet of the Apes, Young Woman in the Sea, Inside Out, Untitled Deadpool movie, Alien movie, Untitled Disney movie, The Amateur, which is not coming out, Untitled, and then Mufasa. And what I wanted to focus here on is the Untitled Disney animation set for November 27th. Mind you, this is October, November of last year. Mm-hmm. Untitled Disney animation. So we don't know what that is. Next year, at the end of the first quarter, Disney needs to put out a report because he's in a proxy war with Nelson Peltz. And they say, guess what? We're going to, the untitled feature Disney animation is going to be Moana 2. In fact, Moana 2 has been in development in Vancouver, in the Disney studio in Vancouver, not in America. And in fact, they had been working on a TV show for Moana, and they decided that they're going to take that TV show and turn it into a movie. And so that's their Untitled Disney animation, except that was not the Untitled animation. There was an actual project that was being worked on. And that project was being directed by one of the four I just mentioned there. It was Susie Yanesi. And she, since her hiring, had been developing basically her own Disney princess, which is based on an Iranian fairy tale that her grandmother used to tell her. In fact, let me see. I'm going to go to the second page here. And
should I move? Should I go to the second page?
You don't have to do that. Okay. So let's see. I'm sorry. Okay, so I'm reading from an article. Basically, it's a book that came out called Disney Princesses Under the Tiara. And in that book, the author highlights...
Didn't I give you that book?
You did give me that book.
Oh.
And in that book is a story about Susie Yanesi, who's about to bring Iranian Persian culture to Disney. She talks about Jasmine here. Jasmine gave me a moment of such pride in my heritage and my culture, Yanesi says, and especially from being from upstate New York in the suburbs of Buffalo, where there was city. It showed me that there was a whole world out there that was filled with all these different shades of brown. That for me was a definite moment in terms of the princess and their power. The Disney princesses were like superheroes. And then she talks about being given the chance to tell a Persian tale from a fairy tale. And in a different statement that she made, she talks about this fairy tale, her grandmother's fairy tale, having mythical lakes, talking cockroaches, and deserts that stretch beyond the imagination. And so this is a project that they have been working on. Now, here's the thing. So what we found out was that this project was under heavy development. In fact, by the time Wish came out, it was basically at the go, no-go for a Disney animated film. And all this time, it had gone all the way to this point, and ultimately it was a no-go. They not only paused the project, they canceled the project. And what's amazing here is, have you heard this story, Chris?
I haven't. Well, I know the story about Moana,
right?
Animated series turning into a feature.
Yeah, but you don't know about
this. This is
I
don't know about this.
Yeah, that's the thing is they canceled the project for whatever reason. And on top of that, Disney, because they canceled the project, there were literally only 2 projects coming out of the Walt Disney Company for this year. And that was Young Woman in the Sea and Mufasa. And they needed a third because they needed to appease shareholders during their earnings call. And that's when Moana 2 came out. And you could say that maybe they're just putting it on hold for a while. Because Disney has a tradition of that, where a project just doesn't go anywhere. And they shift courses. So Aladdin was that way. Emperor's New Groove shifted courses. The Good Dinosaur shifted courses. But in this one, it doesn't seem like they're shifting courses, because if it was a matter of retooling things, they would have easily have gone to D23 and said, in 2025, we have a brave new tale of Persian culture. And here's Susie Yanesi, who's going to lead us to that, and then give us a future date and create some kind of excitement behind it. But no, it was deadly silent. And what sources that I've talked to have basically told me was they were amazed that this story never got out, that no one knows anything about this, and that and I find it also interesting that Disney is kind of on the forefront of diversity. Not only did they shut down a project for the Persian people, but they buried it. They Batgirled it without anyone ever knowing it.
So this would be an Iranian fairy tale.
A Persian. That's
Persian.
specific.
Do you think maybe the current political climate maybe led to it, or was it the quality? What did
Yeah.
you
Well,
learn?
okay, so I mentioned they could have promoted D23. They could have also blamed it on the strikes,
Right.
but they didn't. They buried it. I think there's a lot to it there. So I'll say this: from what people look, this is the part where I know nothing, where I don't know what exactly happened, but we can certainly speculate. And I think possibly that because it was a Persian tale and because of what's going on now, especially with a certain country and another certain country, that they may have buried it. The other thing is, they brought in someone who didn't know anything about animation. They brought in someone, a successful filmmaker who doesn't know about animation, and not realizing that making a live action feature and making an animated film are two completely different things, and that there may have also been conflicts in that area as well. And I'll say this: at this point, it's all conjecture unless someone actually knows and reaches out to us.
Well, if you know anything more about this project, reach out to us.
Yeah. But I think what surprised, again, I think the conclusion to this is one, DEI is going to destroy your company. You had a line of people who had been, prepared to take on the mantle of a Disney feature film, and they were cast aside. And now you bring in people who don't know anything about animation, but you hired them solely because of their skin color, their race, and their gender. And, and it comes down to this. And, we'll see. We'll see with Jennifer Lee stepping down, Jared Bush now in her place. It seems like things are changing, but from what I understand, Jared Bush is not exactly, Pete Docter in this situation. He may continue things as they are. So we'll see.